Hello and welcome back to my humble show. Although it's not going to be much of a show, I have to go to bed soon because I have to get up and go to work in the morning. Not looking forward to that, but who is? Next weekend is Christmas, in case you didn't know. I'm looking forward to it, I suppose, although I don't have much planned. Let me know in the comments below if you have anything planned. Haven't had much success when it comes to recording. As of late, I did upload a video a few minutes ago, so check out that video if you haven't already done so. I also uploaded a video a few days ago, but it was one which I recorded a few weeks ago, so nothing new to see there. I'm just glad that you're here. Like, subscribe, and enjoy the ride. Don't forget to turn on those bell notifications while you're at it. I'm a little raspy. My apologies. Haven't been the same since I recovered from my sickness. Then again, maybe I haven't actually recovered from my sickness. But enough about me. Let's see what there's to see and say what there's to say. And let me know, yay or nay, which of these examples of Joe Biden's stretching of the truth have you heard of before? That's right. Here's a headline from the Washington Examiner. 17 times Biden lied, plagiarized, and exaggerated. If this sounds random, that's because it is. I just had it saved up and I'm ready to serve it up before I move on with my life. Trying to keep things simple here because, once again, I just haven't had much success recording and uploading as of late. This should be great, or at least good enough to make a show out of. So, let me show you something. Again, 17 times Biden lied, plagiarized, and exaggerated. Let me know which of the 17 are the most interesting to you, the most newsworthy to you. If you're wondering why there is a random photo of Harvard University President Claudine Gay here on a screen, that's because she also has found herself in a bit of a plagiarism scandal. But like Biden, she isn't going anywhere anytime soon. Well, in his case, he may be going somewhere sooner since he is older and also has an election coming up. It's just around the corner. Oh. Had to wet my whistle there. All right, now my calling as a whistleblower. High-profile plagiarism is back in the news as embattled Harvard University President Claudine Gay grapples with two cases that were shrugged off by the school's Presidential Search Committee. And this article is also from a few days ago. Don't know if you can see the date here, but it is December 12, published December 12. So, not necessarily newsworthy at this point. But yes, her and two other university presidents were called before Congress just recently due to a rise of anti-Semitism on their campuses, and they stepped in it. And two of them are stepping out of it. She is one of the two who is stepping out of it. And when I say one of the three hasn't, it's because, well, she resigned. One of the three university presidents resigned, but Claudine Gay has not. Despite all of the accusations about plagiarism springing up in the wake of all of this anti-Semitism, or whatever you want to call it. I say they stepped in it in the first place while testifying in front of Congress because they were asked to condemn certain genocidal chants and protests, so on and so forth. And they failed to say much besides, it depends on the context. Which they wouldn't say about any other marginalized, using that word loosely here, group of people. It's just that when it comes to the Jews, they refuse to outright condemn it. So there's that. But normally a firing offense in academic and political circles, there are times when culprits get away with a slap on the wrist, and that certainly is the case with Gay. Caught in the act, her Harvard bosses gave Gay a pass after she decided to make a few corrections in her published works and give proper credit. And I don't mean to make this about her. Just laying the groundwork here, mostly because this is how the Washington Examiner chose to lay this out. Maybe the best example of getting away with plagiarism is sitting in the Oval Office. Who would have thunk it? While his earlier cases did trip him up, they did. Though not too much, apparently. Notably in 1987, when he was forced out of the presidential race for robbing words from a British politician, President Joe Biden has been involved in a dizzying and documented 9 cases. Really? Really? And that is on top of the 8 oft-repeated biographical lies he tells in speeches, such as last weekend's latest version of a made-up story about an Amtrak conductor congratulating Biden for flying over 1 million miles as vice president after the conductor had died. Apparently, Joe Biden sees dead people. Below is a list of Biden's biggest 17 lies, plagiarisms, and exaggerations with hat tips to those who have documented each from the Washington Examiner, Des Moines Register, New York Times, Washington Post, Slate, New York Post, the Trump campaign, and others cited. Let me pause this. I had to take another swig of water, but I'll continue to suffer through this now. Plagiarisms. 1. Going all the way back to 1965, when he was a Syracuse University College of Law student, Biden lifted 5 pages of law review for a legal report. I was wrong, but I was not malevolent in any way, he said when caught. How does that work? So you plagiarize, you lift pages from someone else, and then you say that you were wrong, but also that you were not malevolent in any way. Okay. Someone square that circle for me. I'm just not too good at geography. Oh, what is it called again? I know, right? In 1987, he was forced out of the presidential race when he was caught stealing lines of British politician Neil Kinnock's speeches. Maybe worse, he also mimicked some of Kinnock's mannerisms in a style a reporter at the time called creepy. So he is Sleepy Joe and also Creepy Joe. Political author Richard Ben Kramer said Biden knew what he was doing and even had a video of Kinnock to study. Really? That is very interesting indeed. Also during the presidential run, that particular presidential run, he stole lines from Robert F. Kennedy. According to a New York Times review, keep in mind that Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is now running for president against Joe Biden. During his presidential run in 1968, RFK said, "It measures everything in short except that which makes life worthwhile, and it can tell us everything about America except why we are proud that we are Americans." Nearly 20 years later, Biden said, "That bottom line can tell us everything about our lives except that which makes life worthwhile, and it can tell us everything about America except that which makes us proud to be Americans." Very similar, indeed. I can't help but notice that as I read. That year, he also borrowed from President John F. Kennedy's inaugural address when he fashioned a line off JFK's famous phrase, "Each generation of Americans has been summoned to give testimony to its national loyalty," according to the New York Times Maureen Dowd. Biden said each generation of Americans has been summoned. I'm not actually reading the numbers off as I go. I said one, and that's about it. So if it's all running together as one long run-on sentence, and you can't tell one plagiarism from the next, my apologies. Regardless, let me know what is the most amusing to you. Or the most confusing, for that matter. Biden in 1987 also pulled a phrase from then-Senator Hubert Humphrey. Wrote the New York Times Dowd. At the Democratic National Convention in 1976, Mr. Humphrey, then a senator from Minnesota, declared, "The ultimate moral test of any government is the manner in which it treats three groups of its citizens. First, those who are in the dawn of life, our children. Second, those who are in the shadows of life, our sick, our needy, our handicapped. And those, third, in the twilight of life, our elderly." Senator Biden's version offered a nation noble enough to treat those at the dawn of life with love, those at the dusk of life with care, and those who live in the shadow of life with compassion. All right, so it could be that he heard something and he thought, that sounds interesting, and then it came back to him and he repeated it in a sense, as though it was his own original thought, when in fact it was not. Maybe it's innocent, maybe it's not malevolent, as he said. I can't really speak to his intentions, his motivations, and the sinister nature of them. But he seems to have a bit of a history with this sort of behavior. And maybe that's why he now quotes his parents pretty much 90% of the time. He's constantly saying, as my dad used to say, as my mom used to say, as my grandma used to say, as my grandpa used to say. That sort of thing. Of course, who knows if those are accurate quotes or if he's just making stuff up now that they're dead. I don't know. Where was I? In 2000, according to the New York Post, Biden was caught pulling lines from a federal judge's opinion for an article in the Harvard Journal on legislation about his Violence Against Women Act. During his 2020 campaign, the Washington Post said Biden pulled policy platforms and wording from several groups, including a word-for-word proposal from the XQ Institute. He also used whole sections of Bernie Sanders' campaign plans and their Joint Unity Task Force paper, said the 2020 Trump campaign. But don't take it from the Trump campaign. Trump is known to be quite the exaggerator himself. So, this isn't a defense of any particular politician. I'm all for mocking madness across the board. Just so you know. For his 2020 Build Back Better theme, Biden adopted the slogan from former President Bill Clinton's Build Back Better. There's that. All right, so on to tall tales. Then there are Biden's biographical tall tales, including, and once again I'll say one, and then skip the numbers from here on out. He said in 2008, a helicopter he was riding in was forced down near Osama bin Laden's lair in Afghanistan. Actually, it was just waiting out a sandstorm, wrote former Washington Examiner reporter Alana Goodman, now with the Washington Free Beacon. All right, so he also falsely claimed to be a coal miner and from a family of coal miners. A claim pulled from Kinnock, according to Slate. In 2007, he said he was shot at while in Iraq. The truth is that he was in the green zone when a mortar landed several hundred yards away, reported The Hill. Hillary Clinton actually made some similar claims about being under fire at one point when she was exiting a helicopter or an airplane. I can't remember which. Turns out she was completely making it up. Biden said in 1993, the year of my birth, that he called Slobodan Milosevic a dang war criminal. Censoring myself there, just because I feel like it. To his face during the siege of Sarajevo. 3 out of the 4 aides in the meeting wouldn't corroborate. Biden has said he was a civil rights leader. Participating in sit-ins never happened. Yeah, that never happened. Biden said he criticized former President George W. Bush in several long meetings. A Bush aide said he couldn't remember Biden in any meetings and added that the former president would never sit through 2 hours of Joe Biden. Really? So even the Bushes had enough of the Bidens. Or at least the big guy. The little big guy. I actually find these more interesting than the plagiarisms. The stories about his life, which are obviously incorrect. I wonder if the story about the house fire is going to be mentioned here. Oh, let's see. Here it is. The president recently retold how his Delaware house caught fire, almost killing his wife, dog, and cat, and melting his Corvette. Fox and the Associated Press reported that it was just a small kitchen fire. Could have been worse, but it wasn't. So, got to tell the actual story. And then there is his million miles flown story told to Amtrak conductor Angelo Negri. Biden claims that Negri congratulated him during a train trip to visit his dying mother. CNN tore that story apart, writing Biden's false story. Well, it's a story that's false. In 2 ways. First, he could not possibly have had this exchange with Negri. He did not reach the million miles flown mark as vice president until September 2015, according to his own past comments. But Negri had died more than a year earlier, in May 2014. Second, Biden's mother was not dying at the time he reached the million miles flown mark. In fact, she had died more than 5 years prior. Yikes. No mention of him being arrested on his way to meet Nelson Mandela. I'm surprised that was left off the list here. Also, his lie about having been at Ground Zero day after 9/11. He recently told that whopper. On and on and on and on. He has told so many lies. It's hard to keep up with all of them. And that's not to mention any of the lies having to do with his son, Hunter Biden. Speaking of Hunter Biden was called before Congress under subpoena. And he defied that. Instead of testifying, he spoke shortly outside of the building where he was supposed to be testifying in. And he was very rebellious in his remarks. He said, "There's nothing to see here. My father is innocent." He didn't quite say he himself was innocent, since, after all, he has some pretty hefty charges against him right now. Hunter Biden, that is. We'll see where that goes. And let me know in the comments below what you think. Feel free to disagree with me on anything I've said. Your reaction may be completely different than mine. I would hope that you're feeling better than me. I cannot seem to get a word out without feeling the need to cough. Rough stuff. Tough stuff. What else? I'll be showing you many more things and sharing many more thoughts on those things in the near future, I hope. Fingers crossed. Because there's a lot of news. Now, I didn't even mention the looming impeachment inquiry. All the Republicans seem to be on board with that, at least in Congress, at least in the House of Representatives. We'll see where that goes as well. Swell. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Keep in touch. Keep in tune. New content is coming soon. Peace.